Hi, everyone. I'm Frenchie. Today, I am chatting with my pal, Wilcox. We did Fearless Fire together. We met on stage and the friendship continued on. And Leisse is an executive performance coach, and she and I just have so much overlap in our philosophical approach to things. And while Leisse is really focusing on what I would say, and Leisse, correct me after, is like really helping people be the best version of who they are. And I focus a little bit more on the like analytical, strategic side
Mhm.
of helping people achieve their goals and really make plans to reach the outcomes that they want. So, anyways, I'm super excited because today we're going to dive in and talk about enough and what it means to be enough
Mhm.
and feel like enough. And man, that's what your talk was about. And
Mhm.
that's why I grew to just think that you're so amazing. And so I'm excited to like share this conversation. But before I keep going, did I get that right about you? What do you want
Yeah.
everyone to know about you?
I mean, I am the best at, I think we were joking about this, but I am the best at helping you be the best at what you do. When I was growing up, my dad was an internist and nobody knows what an internist does. And so when I asked him to explain it to me, he was like, if you go to the heart guy and the kidney guy and the lung guy and nobody knows what's wrong with you, that's when you come to see me, the internist. And I feel like that about my work as an executive coach, that like I will help you get your mojo back because I understand the holistic parts that make you you and what it
Yeah.
takes to get back to that elevated version of yourself. Because trying to do it all at the same time is exhausting, and maintaining the illusion of perfection is exhausting. So when we get to really the heart of what makes you feel fulfilled, that's what
Yeah.
allows us to like build that momentum back up and really be who you are.
Yeah. Yeah. And like in your talk, one of the things that really struck me was like when you repeated this phrase of like not enough, not enough, not enough, and
Mhm.
these moments where you experience that. And I can just relate to that so deeply. I
Mhm.
think I go through phases of life, and I would say I'm in a phase like this right now where I wake up every
Mhm.
morning feeling like not enough, and it
Mhm.
sucks, and I don't want that. And so I think one question I have is like, how do you define enough, right? Like,
Mhm.
what do you actually mean when people start to feel like they are enough? Because it
Mhm.
feels ephemeral and amorphous, and I
Mhm.
sure as heck haven't figured it out.
Well, I remember before the talk, I was gonna put in this like divine message that I got years ago when I was at my own rock bottom. And everything around me looked perfect. Perfect house, perfect looking family, perfect looking husband, like everything just looked bloody perfect. And I was dying on the inside. And I got this little download when I was like, how is this not enough for me? Like, what's wrong with me if this isn't enough for me? And I heard this little voice say, nothing will be enough for you until you are enough for you. And when I
Mhm.
share that with you, you're like, that is a lot of pressure. Like, that is just so much pressure. And it's true. But when we get clear on how we want to feel, that is the best place to start defining enough. Success
Yeah.
is a moving, bloody target. And when
Yeah.
you are like, like you and I both are kind of this accidental overachiever, by the time you reach one metric of success, you don't even care anymore. Like you've already moved on to the next thing. And that's what keeps us stuck chasing our tails over and over again. So if we can really clearly delineate, like, enough for me feels like this much in the bank, or it feels like this feeling, I have time with my children. I have the ability to say yes or say no because I want to, not because I feel
Yeah.
I have to. There are these feelings that we can create, they don't change. Because you can check
Yeah.
in, like, do I feel free? Do I feel balanced? Do I feel like I have this enriching life? If so,
Yeah.
like, congratulations, you did it.
Totally. Totally. And I think about this a lot too, because while I'm while my work is not like
Mhm.
directly focused on this like emotional sense of enough, right? And like the psycho-emotional piece, I'm still really obsessed with this idea of building strategies for people that are aligned with how their business, how their work fits into their larger thing. And so,
Yes.
into their larger landscape and the context of their
Mhm.
lives. And so, I think sometimes I work with people who have seven-figure ambitions, and sometimes I
Mhm.
work with people who have $50,000 ambitions. And the
Yeah.
the point is how does this fit into the larger picture of what success looks like for you and what
Thank you.
feels good to you, rather
Yeah.
than feeling like it needs to be this endless pursuit and this moving benchmark. And I think when you have that wisdom to know what enough is for you, it fuels this ability to then actually create structure and strategy around that because you know what
Yeah.
you're building towards. It's like you can't build a house without a blueprint.
Correct. And like you must see this with your clients all the time, but do you not feel like we are just constantly pressured to be more and do more?
Yes.
Like, great, you got to six figures, but how about multiple six figures? Oh, you hit multiple six figures? Great. Well, you're not really a success until you get into seven figures. It's like, for the love of God, do you
Yeah.
know the statistics on who earns six and seven figures? Like, it's not pretty. So to pressure everybody to fit the same mold it's like institutional or systemic gaslighting. It doesn't, it's not healthy.
Yeah. 1,000%. And I think this is like really important, right? This vicious cycle. And I struggle with this a lot.
Mm,
As like, and I think a lot of the messaging online fuels this battle of like, am I playing small? Am I
yes.
underachieving? Like
Yeah.
where do I fit into all of it? Like, am I afraid? Like, because you
Hmm.
kind of get that message, or am I just content? And
Yeah.
contentment is great. And so I'm curious to
Hmm.
hear, like, one, your experience with that, but also how you kind of guide people through that.
I mean, congratulations on being human because literally everybody goes through this. Like every single woman I've ever worked with goes through this. I had a client last year, as an example. She was a food photographer. She's in Michigan. She's ridiculously talented. She already had a lot of like great clients. And a lot of our work centered around like she kind of felt maybe like she was a big fucking deal, but she wanted to really appreciate that she was like a big fucking deal. And our work got her to that place where she was like, you know what? I'm a big fucking deal. So she started saying no to the projects that didn't really light her up. They would have brought temporary cash flow for sure, which is really important, but also they were going to drain her. And so she like only reserved bookings for clients that was like a big hell yes. In our time together, she ended up booking one six-figure client on retainer and like met her target goal by August without doing anything for the rest of the year. And that was because, and this is a financial example for sure, but it's because that internal feeling was, I actually feel enough and I recognize who I am and what I'm great at. And
Yeah.
unless somebody else aligns with that vision of me, I'm not doing it. And that was the internal shift that needed to happen. This cycle of like, am I dreaming too big or am I dreaming too small? I agree with you that if you feel content, you're doing it right. And we change so much. Like we are constantly ebbing and flowing. I was at a place in my business where I was like, I'm congratulations to me. I'm done all the work. Like I made it.
Yeah.
And then the other day I was doing my own strategy and I was like, oh my God, the next level for me feels so terrifying because I have stopped growing. And now I have to get and it's not like, don't want to say I'm not enough for me, but it's like that vision no longer aligns with my vision of myself. Right. And so
Yeah.
I got to do the work to grow. It's so based on your own feelings of contentment and what is actually enough by your own standards.
Right. And I think that one of the things that I grapple with is holding on to two things at once.
Yeah.
I can be contented where I am
Hmm.
and want more.
Hmm.
And my desire for more doesn't mean that I'm failing where I am.
Hmm.
My desire for more is a desire for more, but I
Yes.
still want to be grateful and appreciate where I am
And present.
and present.
Right? I mean, I'm going to use a food example because of your husband. And I just like you're eating the best bowl of pasta, right? You're sitting there and it's delicious. If you can sit there just enjoying this pasta, it's going to be a
Mhm.
great experience. If you're sitting
Right.
there eating the pasta, but also thinking about like, and then I get to have tiramisu afterwards, it's like it takes away because now
Yeah.
you're just going through the motions to get somewhere else.
Yeah.
And I feel like we can do both and,
Yeah.
we really do need to stay interesting and to stay engaged. We do need to keep growing, like
Yeah.
period. And we can also be really content with where we are and what we're doing. And it's like having this is the self-discipline part of it, like having the self-discipline to stay present and engaged and being like, God, this pasta is so good. Like, I'm just
Yeah.
so happy to be eating it right now. You know,
Yeah.
dessert is coming and you're going to enjoy that too. But like, how do I just stay here and really slow it down to
Yeah.
appreciate exactly what I have going on in this moment?
Yeah. I love it. Okay. So people have watched this. They're like, yes, I need to find this enough, this feeling of enough. I need to define
Yeah.
enough. Right. And then you can help them create the feeling. I can help them build the strategy around like the
Hmm.
vision behind that. But like, what is one thing they need to do at the end of this call or at the end of
Mm.
this watching this and hearing
Thing.
us?
Yeah.
Um, what is one thing you would tell them to do?
Literally sit down in a quiet moment and ask themselves, like, ask yourself, what would enough feel like for me?
Feel like, not look like, feel like.
Not look like. What would enough feel like for me? Because usually it's, from like a decade worth of experience, it's going to feel like freedom. It's going to feel like I have enough time to do what I need to do in every role. It's fun. It feels joyful. It feels easeful. It allows me to stay relevant.
Yeah.
When I focus on those feelings, it can look a number of different ways. Hopping on your bike will give you a sense of freedom because as long as you're not in Manhattan, but like anywhere else, you can just bike and you feel like you're entirely free. But
Yeah.
freedom for some people is like, I need to go to the beach with my family for a week. There's so many different definitions of what it can look like that if
Yeah.
you get clear on what it feels like for you, you can make it look like anything on any budget while also holding yourself accountable where you are and where you ultimately want to be growing towards. But
Yeah.
yeah, ask yourself very clearly and answer it very clearly. What would enough feel like for me?
Yeah. I love it. And I would say, on my end, as you define that, right?
Mhm,
What I tend to see is that when people are building businesses and they are building towards personal ambitions,
mhm,
they are assuming they come from a place of feeling like not enough. So they're assuming they have
mhm,
to do everything. And
mhm,
so my first step would be like, okay, when like, what are two things I could stop doing today and still be
mhm.
on track?
I like that.
Because we keep adding and adding and adding,
Yeah.
but like it is, it's not just about what we're adding.
No, no. And usually it's adding more stuff. Like, we feel like we have to keep doing more and more and more so that we
Yeah.
feel like we're getting the results. But usually it's slowing things down or taking things away that allows us to actually get where we're going.
I love it. Amazing. Lise, thank you so much for chatting with me about this. This just like, oh, I feel like I can take a deep breath. So thank you.
My
And I
pleasure.
hope that all of you listening can. Where can people find you, learn more about you, and connect with you? And I'll link it below.
Sure. My website is leisewilcox.com. Instagram at Leise Wilcox and LinkedIn at Leise Wilcox. Part of the advantage of having a weird name is that you own all the rights to it. You can just show up everywhere. So yeah,
I
everything is
love
at
it.
Leise Wilcox.
I love it. And on my end, sign up for my free weekly accountability check-ins, whether you are building a side hustle, building a big business, or just pursuing something you've never pursued before. I'm there to check in on you every week and make sure that you are taking the steps you need to fulfill your goals. So I would
I'm
love
going
to
to
see you
join
in
that right
there.
now.
I love it. Thank you so much, Lise.
Thank you.